Hello everyone, welcome to week 2, where we're going to start coding. First, we're going to open up our text editor. Here I'm using Sublime. I'm going to start by saving and adding a title to my code. So here I'm just putting down my first web page, saving to my desktop, and now I'm going to start by editing my first tag by entering exclamation point, doc type in caps, followed by a space, and HTML in lowercase. Notice here how the type is white. I'm going back up here and I'm going to save as again, and I'm going to put down .html. I'm saving it once I save it as HTML file, notice how the text becomes colored. Here I added, just by the autofill, I put down HTML and it autofilled the rest. Or you can choose to keep going through all of the doc type, HTML, body, and header. Here, this is a title. Titles are not shown on the browser, or I'm sorry, onto the web page, but it'll be a way for the browser to tell the title of that page. Once we're done with that, we're going to head on over into our body section and put in our first header. A header, just like a header on your text, it's a title, it's usually large, and it shows importance. So we open that by having a caret, H1, H2, H3, H4. Headers go all the way down into H6. Make sure that we close that tag by a / followed by H1 or whatever header you chose, and the caret. A lot of these programs have autofill. Notice how I just have to hit enter, like do a caret, put H whatever I want, and hit enter, and it gives me the opening and closing tag where I can just put the code in the middle. When this is shown on the web page, it goes from a larger font in H1 all the way to a smaller font in H6. Headers like to tell your browser that there is something of importance, but there are other ways to show importance to the browser and to the server. Many of you guys maybe heard of SEO, search engine optimization, which is really important for web pages because it tells the browser the order in which it gets shown to the user. So if you typed in shoes into Google, whatever the first link there, that has more clicks, and so it's all the way at the top for the SEO. It has optimized search engines, so whoever coded that one did a great job. I'll show you later on how to add SEO models to your web page so it can get discovered. So headers go all the way to H6, and this will be the smallest font available or shown without adding any CSS file. We have now a P tag, which is for paragraphs. All this is kind of like hierarchy within coding. So we have the hierarchy of H1 to P, and there are other stuff in between. Something that's really important is taking notes, kind of like taking notes off to the side. Notice how when I'm typing in caret followed by exclamation point and 2 dashes, the font has gone gray. Whatever I'm putting inside this syntax right here will be hidden from the web page. What the good point about having notes is that it's a part where you can refer back to, especially if you're working with a bunch of code. You can start labeling different sections. And it's also great if you're working with a partner or a group. You can put down notes so they can refer back to it. And once I close this tag off, notice how the color comes back to the bottom section. Now I'm hitting save. I hit save as twice. I just want to make sure that was going to my desktop so I can find the file later. Now I'm going to grab that file and I'm going to drag it into Google Chrome and into Safari. It's always good to double check with multiple browsers to make sure that your code is going correctly, because each browser may have a different way of interpreting that code. And so I threw into 2 browsers. You can do more than 2, but I recommend at least 2 browsers to throw your code into. Now it's time to start adding some style. to our code. We're going to start by opening up a new tab, and I'm going to title this. So I'll hit Save As. I'm going to call this stylesheet.css and save that to my desktop. And now CSS is different from HTML, where we don't have to do doctype and headers and all of these syntaxes. Here we can just put down P. That's going to refer back to my paragraph tag, followed by the bracket. Just like over in the HTML, I can hit enter and it will open and close for me. And I'm just going to put down color, colon, red, followed by semicolon. Now I'm going to go down to H2 and add a background color. So it kind of autofills. I started typing in background and it popped over. Now the tricky part is adding the link. So underneath title, we're going to type in link and then enter REL. REL is the relationship between the current document and the link document. And so we're going to put down style sheet in the quotes. I'm going to go to the outside of the quotes, hit space, and now put down type. Type is going to state the type of input we're using. So that's going to be text/CSS. Then I'm going to tab over to the other side of those parentheses and put down href. And so what href stands for is hypertext reference. And this is going to create the link to the CSS. So it's important to note that with href tag, that you replicate the exact title of a CSS page, word for word, letter for letter here. And if it's not exactly the same, the pages won't link up. Now we're going to head over and save all. I'm going to minimize my page, grab my file, and then I can drag that in to Chrome and see what I've done. You can see how we made the H2 blue and the paragraph red. All right, now I want to add more style to my webpage. So I just got the Itsy Bitsy Spider lyrics, and I don't enjoy how it's in this paragraph format. I like to see my text go from left to right instead of down, just because it's so easy to get lots and lots of line of code. So I am splitting Itsy Bitsy Spider into different paragraphs, making sure that where there is a caret P caret, and then the sentence, it has to end with caret / P ending with a caret. So now that's all split up and it looks nice and pretty, I'm going to go on in and add a strong tag. So what strong tag? That indicates contents of importance. And so here it's going to render it bold. So when I am done editing this, rain will be in bold. Yep, and now I'm going to head on up and add in a span. So here we go. I'm going to enter in span next to here. So what span tag does, it just groups elements for styling. So I can add it around a single sentence. I can add it around multiple paragraphs. I can add it around multiple H1 headings. And now I'm going to go over to the style sheet and add what I want to style it with. So for span, I'm going to increase the font size. I'm going to do that for 32 pixels. And now I want to add a font family. And so I can change the fonts by going into Google Fonts, Squirrel Fonts. There's a bunch of websites which I'll link to this. Here I chose Playfair. I'm going to add the selection, go to the top right-hand corner, and I'm going to be able to view the code. Here, super simple. I copy the entire code, go to my HTML site. Under the last link that I had, I'm just going to add it. This is one of the fun parts about coding is that there's a lot of resources on the internet and you can just copy and paste and see what works. Now I'm going to take the CSS code, copy and paste, and go delete the font family that I had there because I already provided that, and enter. Now that's all done, I'm going to save all again, minimize that window, and then I'm going to check and see how my code went. Cool. So rain is in bold. I added that text to all of it. Okay, now we're going to add a list. So we're going to start off by adding a div class. So that just breaks it up into sections. So I will do caret div class equals list, since we're creating a list. Under that, we're going to do an LUL class. And we're going to make that a small list. Once we're complete with that, we'll finish off the caret. We're going to create a LI class, which is a list class. Define that as a small list. And once we finish that caret off, going to put down first. That will be the first item of our list. And I'll close that off by caret /li. Now I'm going to do the same exact thing. The second one, I'll write down second, close that off, and now we're going to do the third one just by doing li. I'm going to put down third and closing it off. You may see underneath the open UL how there's a line. I just dragged my cursor underneath that and I was able to do a caret / and it automatically filled in the UL and the div class. In my CSS sheet, I'm doing period list, and here I can define my parameters. So I'm going to have it displayed in an inline box. Then I'm also going to put some padding around it, which is just defining the white space. And so I'm going to pad only to the right-hand side. And I'm going to add a solid black border around my list as well. So you may notice how our previous CSS spots do not have a period. Our list has a period because it's a class, and that defines to the class that we had in the HTML. I'll throw it into Chrome, and now we can see that I get bullet points. I have more room to the right-hand side than to the left. That's that padding, and a black box. Wonderful. Okay. So for assignments, I'm going to have you do a 3 headers followed by